What's going on, y'all? So listen.
What's going on, everybody? So we are back. We are back for the season finale. Girl, I'm so glad they got a new season coming up. I hope it don't take forever. I hope y'all out there filming right now because we need to know what's going to happen. And this was a really good season. I didn't know how this season was going to go because I remember when they first started filming and seeing something where they had to scrap basically a lot of what they filmed to make it more so of what was going on in today's world with the pandemic and everything. So that's why we got the season that we got. And I will continue to say this, that they did a really good job. They did a really good job portraying everything that we've been going on and making it feel like it was still happening in real time. Getting every emotions and all of that, evoking all these feelings and everything and putting it to film and making it feel like, once again, it's not exploitative or anything like that. And thank God we doing this. And we got the jury back, the verdict back. The jury said, bitch, we don't need all that time. That nigga guilty. David Chauvin, okay? Derek Chauvin. So, I'm feeling good about that. Just that little moment, it just made me feel good. But let's just get into this episode of Queen Sugar. This is the season finale of season 5. This episode 10, Onward. So let's just do Ralph and Darla. Okay, Ralph and Darla, they started the episode off and then they ended the episode. They started it off on a good foot and they ended it on a good foot. I love their storyline at this particular point because they have come such a long way. They have come such a long way because y'all remember in the beginning, bitch, we didn't know what was going to happen with Ralph. Ralph had just got out of jail, okay? Jail, prison, whichever one you want to call it. Daddy was just got out and we didn't know what was going to happen to him. If he was going to play around on the farm, if he was going to get his ass in trouble. Y'all remember when he went up in that store and he stole that, what was it, some juice or something? He stole something out of the store. I said, God damn, Ralph, you just got out of jail. Calm down. If you can't afford it, don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I know times is hard, but damn, don't do that. Don't put yourself in jeopardy, And he never got caught for that. He turned his life around, Darla, she was strung out little chick. Girl, I didn't know what was going to happen to her. And her storyline was just so deep, okay? Dealing with the throes of depression and drugs and all of that stuff and trying to become clean and be a good mother and all of that. So great to see their storyline come to fruition to where it's at, come to do a 180 turn from where it was, and baby, they all happy, Blue is so happy about going to this school. They're getting ready for him to go. They're about to drive all the way up there to DC. I said, y'all driving all the way from Louisiana to DC. Damn, that is a long ass drive, okay? I don't know if they did it on the straight shot or not, but girl, I probably couldn't do it. I probably could, but not. Ooh, I had to pull over. We got to get to a hotel because this too long, okay? But, and I know I seen in the comments, some people was like, it doesn't make sense for them to let Blue out of their sight and you let Blue go up there to DC by himself, and especially in the pandemic. But y'all forget he's not going to be by himself. He's staying with Darla's mother. So he will be with an authoritative figure that, is conscious of what's going on and will be there to help him out. That was the whole reason why, they went on ahead and just said, they felt comfortable enough putting him up there because he would be with somebody that is a family member. Granted, not as close, but still a family member that can help out and will be watching him and making sure he's on the up and up. So, they do that. Ralph and Vi, they still not talking. Okay. Hollywood has to tell Vi about herself. You know what I'm saying? At this point, Vi is very headstrong. Vi is very headstrong, very stubborn, and she just feel like she's in the right. She feel like Ralph hurt her. And he was like, I mean, he hurt you, you hurt him. Okay? You told this man that, first of all, you didn't call him a man. You called him a boy and then said that his father would be ashamed of him. Okay? And she gonna say, I mean, I still believe that. I said what she basically said. I said what I said. I was like, goddamn, Vi, girl, you was wrong. Okay, what Ralph said, it was a little harsh the way it came out because y'all was in the midst of a conversation, or I should say an argument. But what he said was not wrong. You are not a parent. You are not his parent. Ralph and Darla have the final say as to what goes on with Blue. And you got in your feelings, and I understand why you got in your feelings, but it still was not your decision to make, okay? And you need to respect, and that just shows that in that moment, I felt slightly that she didn't respect his, you know, him as a man, as a parent, okay? Because you're trying to overstep, you know? And it just didn't go the way that she thought it was gonna go. Okay, she didn't think that Ralph was gonna come at her ass the way that he came at her. You know, was gonna talk back the way that he did. And Hollywood had to say, "Baby, you was wrong. Okay, you gonna have to apologize." You know, and he was just thinking that line when he said, maybe Ralph was thinking that the pain of tomorrow. Wait. The promise of tomorrow outweighs the pain of today. Bitch, I said, who writing this? Who writing this? Who writing this poetic shit? Okay? Girl, I gotta look this stuff up. All right? Listen, Ava, all of y'all, okay? Because Ava, you be girl, as soon as I tweet something, you be liking my tweets, okay? When Queen Sugar come on. So you giving me the impression that you watch my videos. Now, if this is the case, my name is Ashley, okay? How you doing, girl? You know what I'm saying? Lock sisters, all right? But, I have a goal, and one of my goals is to be on a movie set or a TV set, mostly TV. You know what I'm saying? And I just really want to see the ins and out. So let's put that in for, you know, 2021, 2022. Okay, y'all about to start filming for Queen Sugar. I would love to be on the set. I would love to be on the set and see the ins and out. I don't have to be no extra or whatever. You ain't, bitch. Listen, if you want to say yes, you know what I'm saying? This is me putting it out there. I'm trying to network, whatever. I can get my own ticket and I can buy my own hotel room, and all you got to do is let me in on the live. You know what I'm saying? Put me down on the thing and be like, okay, she's supposed to be here. That's it. Give me a little card or whatever, and that's all. Give me access, okay? And let me shadow somebody. That's all that I want. I want to learn, okay? I am trying to do my thing, you know? But anyway, girl, sometimes you just got to put yourself out there. I'm tired of being stagnant, girl. But anyway, so that what was going on. I was like, Vi, just come up off your high horse. And I understand where Vi's coming from. Because sometimes when we want to be right, we want to be right, okay? And then it'd be hard for us to apologize. Some of us stubborn people, it'd be hard for us to be like, you know, well, I apologize. And what made me so frustrated, and I kind of was upset with this season finale, is they didn't have no closure between Ralph and Vi. Vi's restaurant was able to open up, not to full capacity, but she had some people in there. You know, Hollywood, Prosper, and this other neighbor lady was there. They was playing dominoes, and you had some other people in the back playing or whatever. And you can see the joy that everyone was having just from having that little small interaction with people again, you know. And then Darla came in with some flowers and was saying it's from Ralph and her, and you know, just making it as if you know, everything, trying to smooth things over, knowing that Ralph wasn't going to be able to come there because Ralph didn't want to come. All right, even Vi asked if he was going to come, but he's not coming. And I do respect and love the fact that even though Vi is having an issue with Ralph, she's not taking it out on Darla. You know, she's not giving Darla the cold shoulder. Like, okay, since your man thought this, then maybe you think the same thing, so F you too. No, it wasn't that. She welcomed her. And I do love the way that their relationship has evolved and come together tighter than it has, because they had a rough relationship if you go from season 1 to now, you know, and it's come a long way. It was really cute. Not Ralph, but Hollywood, you know, he's doing the real spot, and he's getting that together on the virtual thing. And he was thinking that he was going to have like 6 people, whatever, just sign up. He said, listen, I got 46, bitch. 46, okay? And I was like, that's nice. And he was so excited and elated. I love it, okay? Black man joy, you know. And he did this little bike ride with the LED lights on the bicycles or whatever for Vi to have a little date night. See, I love, like, cute shit like that is what I want, okay? I want to be able to do that with somebody and just, you know, cherish every moment and love every moment about them. That is some love right there. That is some black freaking love, and I love it. Okay, the writers, again, beautiful. Moving on from that, we get this with Blue. He calls in on a little FaceTime and he is so excited. Oh my God, I'm having so much fun. I went to school today and it was just so great. Oh my God, this is blah, 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 and being at grandma's and da 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 da. You know, he was just so excited, and I was just like, yeah, you know, they made the right choice. They made the right choice. He, so far, so good. And that's what you want. You want your child to have all that. You want your child to be happy in whatever it is that they do, and that is what they're giving them, you know. And at the end of the episode, you got Ralph sitting outside and he's looking at the stars, and then Darla comes out and they're talking about, oh, this star looks like this star looks like that. It was like it's shining bright like a diamond, and she was like shining bright like blue. Okay, you know, yeah, we did the right thing and all this stuff, but I just want to tell you, you know, you did the right thing for our family and for our kids or whatever. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Blue didn't, Ralph didn't catch it at first, and then she was like, yes, you're gonna be a daddy. You're gonna be a daddy. And the way she said it, she had to say it like that because if you don't remember, and if you're new here, Ralph is not Blue's biological father. We found that out probably up in season 3. You know, that's not his biological father. And now he's about to have his own biological child. I said, oh my God, sister wife, you doing really good. I love it. Okay, it was really nice. I said that my baby is having another baby. Okay, you know, fuck that. Blue will forever be his. Blue will forever be ours. Okay, and so we are having a child. We are welcoming some new kids to the brood. Okay, and we're just expanding our family, and I love it. Anyway, that's how the episode ends, with Ralph and Darla and their beautiful news. Then we get girl Charlie. Why I say it like that? Charlie and Nova. Woo! Charlie and Nova gave me a time this episode because I was like, girl, what did y'all finna do? It was like the decision wasn't that hard for at least one of them. You know, for Nova, girl, I'll get on your ass in a minute. You know I gotta save you for last. But Charlie, I understand, okay? I understand what you're going through. You know, sometimes some people do us dirty or whatever, and you try to weigh the odds. Like, you know, I see people can change whatever this person look like is changing, and can I or should I go back? You know, I don't necessarily always believe in going backwards, especially if it ended on a negative note. But if it ended on a positive note, or a note that I can deal with, and I see something about them that just, you know, okay, maybe I might want to revisit it, I'll give it that. But mostly, I'm a move forward type of bitch, okay? That's what I'm talking about. I said I knew as soon as Davis came to the rescue, busting that window like he was Meteor Man, you know, coming through the window and shit, you know, let me bring you some soup, okay? I put your hair in a ponytail. I said that's a regular ass ponytail. You could have did better, you know. I was like, I just knew, you know, the way Charlie was looking at him being all nice and chivalrous and everything. I was just like, Charlie, push them feelings down, because it's just one moment. That don't mean from this one moment of human kindness, because you was in your lowest point right now, don't mean that, you know, it takes up for all the shit that he did. But we have to look at the fact that Davis wasn't necessarily a bad man. He cheated on her, yes. He sat around or somewhat kind of set up a situation inadvertently for something to happen to a woman, to get assaulted, and he did nothing about it. That's bad. That's terrible. That's terrible. But throughout all that, he wasn't like this woman beating, you know, drug addict. Girl, I remember Davis in Confessions of a Marriage Counselor, okay? The play Tyler Perry play, all right, with Cheryl Pepsi Riley, bitch. And he was the basketball star or whatever that she left her husband to go with, you know what I'm saying? And come to find out he was doing all the drugs and he was beating her. He was doing all the shit. That's where I first saw Davis from. Back in the Gap, bitch. Back in the Gap, okay? That was years ago. I was like, nigga, you look good. You look good, okay? You're aging well. You know, you a light bright. You know, sometimes, you know, it's hit or miss with us. It's hit or miss with us, okay? When we age or whatever. But you're aging well, okay? And I was just sitting there like, all right, you know, he ain't that bad of a guy. He did some fucked up shit that could be possibly unforgivable, which in my eyes, technically speaking, I couldn't have forgave because, you know, Charlie stuck her neck out for him. Charlie went to bat for him, clearing up his mess, and he had actually did that shit, okay? And she made him know that. But before that, Charlie on the phone talking to Aunt Vi, I said, Charlie, you feeling better, okay? Because either you went to the shop or you know how to do her, because your Bob looking cute, all right? It don't look scruggly and raggedy like it's been when you was sick, bitch, okay? Mama was feeling better. She like, listen, Aunt Vi, what is it? What if what would Jimmy Dale have to do to make you give him like a second chance? Like, what would he have to? She said, bitch, what in the what on earth would ever make you ask me some shit like that, bitch? I said, hold up. And that's literally what I said, the curse word and all. I said, oh shit, that touched the nerve. I said, wrong road, Charlie. Wrong road. Okay, you opened up the wrong door. Close that bitch shut. Okay, you compare apples and oranges. Now, see, Jimmy Dale compared to Davis, that was a whole nother level of fuckboy, abuse, and all of that shit. You cannot compare the two, okay? And basically, she's going around and she's trying to get, you know, everybody's opinion about what she should do. She even asked Darla. Darla, you know, I like her little answer. She said, listen, I'm not going to give you any information or any opinions or, you know, helps about your man or whatever because that's your situation. And I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I get that, you know. But after that, you know, she went on this little, you know, walk with Davis, and earlier she was on the phone. She never really told Vi that she had COVID, but she was on the phone with Michael on FaceTime, right? Michael was like, you know, he's just excited about everything that he's been doing down in Minneapolis and the pictures and the rallies and meeting with the community elders and, you know, protesting and the activism and all of that. He's excited telling, you know, Charlie that. And Charlie said, yeah, she's just been trying to catch up for the past few days. And he was like, what you mean catch up? Catch up, everything is going on. What you mean? Okay. And she had to tell him because at first it looked like she was going to try to lie, but then she just said, fuck it. Let me just tell you, I had COVID or I have COVID. He was like, wait a minute, what? How do you know? Did you go get tested? No, I don't. But, you know, I know I had COVID, you know. And at this point, Michael was like, well, did you, where's Aunt Vi? Is she there? No, she's not there. Is Uncle Ralph there? No, he's not there. Who the fuck is there? She said, listen, I had to call your daddy. He said, bitch, he ain't say nothing. He looked at her like, okay, I'm on my way home. And click, I said, wait a minute, Micah. Micah didn't say bye. Micah said, I'm on my way home. Click. I said, oh no. Charlie sat there stuck. Okay, Charlie go out there, have a little walk with Davis in the park. Okay, let's take a long walk around the park after dark. Okay, but it was like, and they just get into this conversation because earlier they had a conversation about how, you know, Micah is strong and, you know, well, he's not, you know, because she said, you know, she brought Davis over there to talk about their situation. And he was scared that she was about to tell him something that she couldn't tell him over the phone about Micah. Thought he was she was going to say that Micah was pregnant, got Kiki pregnant. And he was like, she said, that's crazy how you said that was like one of your biggest fears and whatever. He was like, I mean, because we got pregnant around the same age. And he was like, well, Micah's no you. Kiki's no you. She cool or whatever, but she's no you. And Micah's no you. And he's comparing all of her admirations and her, you know, good deeds or whatever and her strengths, okay? He's giving her props and all of this stuff. And then they go on this walk and he's continuing to do that. And it's like, you don't miss what you have until it's gone. And sometimes people don't realize how much a person does for them and how much a person was really there uplifting them and being their rock until they mess it up and they no longer have it. And they can't do nothing but look back on what they messed up. And that's what Davis and Charlie did. And this was one of the best scenes. Girl, they was acting their asses off. Because when they went to the park and, you know, Charlie said something about having Micah and having Davis, she was trying to be a fortress, you know, and he was saying how you trying to build this fortress for us around your family. Meanwhile, the monster was already inside the fortress and talking about himself. Baby, that whole scene was nothing but self-reflection because it went from being cool that we talking or whatever, thinking that we can get back together, to being angry and thinking about the past. Bitch, why did you cheat on me? If everything was good and I was all of these things that you're saying that I am, why did you cheat on me with so many women? What was it about those women that made you want to do that? Did they make you happier? He was like, no, they didn't make me happy. It was because I was broken and I was hurting inside, and I hated myself. Okay, I'm pushing all the shit to the corner and I'm doing all this shit because I hate myself. That's why I'm doing that stuff. That's why I hurt you. I was like, you know what? That shit would have got me too. I ain't even gonna fucking lie, okay? Bitch, I be on here trying to be so hard, trying to be so bad or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But let somebody would have said something to me like that, you know. I'm trying to keep it cool, trying to keep it calm. She said one of the ladies' names that she had to defend him over. I think it was with the assault case, Melinda Goldie or something like that. You know, she was like, I defended you, bitch. Why did you do this? Okay. And then, you know, he crying and shit. She crying and stuff. He bearing his soul. And for once, I felt like Davis was bringing real. I felt like he was being sincere. So I was like, he was like, but if you want to take this walk with me, we could take this walk. And he put his hands out. And I was like, Charlie, at first I was like, you know, I was being a little bitch and I was being petty. I was like, don't take his hand. Don't take his hand. You're going to let my hand fall off? Don't take his hand. Don't Billy D. Willing him. Don't do it. But then I said, Charlie, go ahead. Go ahead, because you want this man. It's in your heart, okay? You see it. You see it. You want it. And for some reason, I feel like it'll work this time. I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I got a feeling that it will work this time. I feel like he's learned his lesson. And she brought up the fact that he had a baby on her. I said, where the little girl at? Wasn't the little girl staying with him? What happened to that? Queen Sugar Writers, what happened to the little girl? Okay. The mama came together. I thought the mama died or something like that. Girl, refresh my memory. But anyway, so she grabbed his hand. I said, oh, all right, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let y'all have that one because Nova, girl, Nova, ma'am, this would have been the easiest thing for me, okay? Yes, I love you. I love you to death, but baby, you go against everything that I stand for, okay? She sat down and she had this conversation with Calvin, okay? Calvin was looking very much like Derek Chauvin to me. I don't know why. It was just all up in my face. I was just like, maybe when he shaved that beard, I bet you they look like twins. I don't know. Was it just me? But she was like, you know, Andre Nixon, okay, tell me that you didn't do this, okay? He was like, this shit happened 20 years ago, and they had me standing in the back, and I was a rookie, and then they wanted to see what I was made of. They said it was my turn, and I had to do it. You know, I should have just stood up, and I should have stopped it, but I didn't. You know, I hit him a couple of times. She was like, bitch, your blow is the one that broke his back, bitch. And the shit that Nova was saying, Nova said, I want to believe, if you say that it didn't happen, I want to believe you. I want to believe you and be on your side and say that it didn't happen. She was willing to forgive and just put that shit to the side. But she knew what it was, okay? And excuse me, I'm sitting here like, girl, Nova, stop it, girl. And then next thing you know, Nova over there praying to the ancestors about what to do. Girl, dump his ass. Throw his ass into the trash, bitch. Okay? This is what you fighting about. This is what you going against, okay? You know, he's sitting back there. You asked him about this a while ago, and he didn't say anything, okay? He was talking about something. He tried to put that shit behind him and all this stuff. He's a changed man. It was 20 years ago. I don't care. I don't care. That man is paralyzed because of you. You literally stomped him in his back and you cracked that bitch, okay? And you put him in a wheelchair. It was your blow to his back that did that. And we supposed to forgive you for that? Bitch, you know, Nova up there, girl, you was making me mad. You was making me mad because I feel like she gonna forgive that man. She gonna forgive that man. Truth be told, he ain't really do nothing to her, but, you know, it's just too much. It's just too much. I couldn't be with somebody that I know had actually did something. I don't understand how these, unless you actually feel the same way that these people that injure other people and do this stuff like these cops been doing to us all this time. I can't stay with a person like that. I cannot stay with a person who would willingly do something like that and don't feel like they have any remorse and they try to cover it up. Granted, nobody, I don't feel like Calvin would have said anything had Nova called him out on it, okay? And that's what scares me about the whole situation. It's not like he's doing this because he knows that it's wrong. He's doing this to appease her. so that he won't lose her. That's what it is. Because later, you know, after she go playing around with the ancestors said, bitch, stop playing with us. You already fucking know. Okay? The bullshit we went through and you asking us what we need to do with this man, girl, let his ass go. I spoke for the ancestors, okay? And then, you know, she's sitting on the couch and the cops come to the door, and he had called the cops regarding his whole thing, and he said basically what he doing is what he should have did 20 years ago, trying to make it right. You want a cookie for that? I wasn't moved by that. I'm sorry. You know, first of all, you were sitting up there giving us them fake cop tears, okay? Then you want to turn yourself in for something that you did 20 plus years ago. Nigga, you should have been did that, okay? So at this point, Nova standing over there crying. I'm like, girl, is you crying happy tears because he turned himself in, or you crying tears because now either fucking way he could potentially go to jail and you can lose your man, and you can still probably think about ending a relationship with him. But I have a strong feeling the way that Nova was just sitting on that couch and laying in that bed or whatever, and the fact that Calvin was still up in that house with her, had he not called the cops, Nova still would have been with his ass. Bitch, and I would have called her a hypocrite. Girl, anyway, Queen Sugar was cute. I really enjoyed this season. You know, it was heavy, but that's what was going on, and they did it real good, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. The finale wasn't too much. It was just enough. We closed the doors on some chapters or whatever, opening up some news. We're about to get a new borderline. And y'all better not make nothing. Don't make Darla go through hell on season 6, okay? She been through it enough. She lost her job up in this season, okay? Come on now. Don't make her go through hell. Make her have a good time, you know, with this baby. Don't make her have no issues. Make the baby come. You know, I prefer probably give him a little girl, okay? Give him a little girl, you know what I'm saying? So she can be princess of the house, Princess Waterlone, you know what I'm saying? So she can get all the love and attention, okay? And if Davis and Charlie, we need to get back on Charlie trying to bring Parker back, because I need to see my girl Amira, okay? I need to see my girl Amira on the show. You know, bring her back. Y'all brought her in for a quick second, and then COVID said no, okay? But bring her back. We need to get down to the bottom of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Vi, Hollywood, keep them the way that they are. Please make Ralph and Vi. Don't drag this shit out with them, okay? Families fight, but we don't need to drag it out. We don't need to drag it out. And Micah, he's still doing his shit. Put the truth out there. Did Micah cheat on Kiki? Because I feel like that's what he did. I feel like it was the Davis and him that did it, okay? But anyway, this was cute. I enjoyed it. You guys tell me how y'all felt about it. And I will see you guys later. Peace.